experience is more unique because they are the ones who are implementing ICDP directly and working with caregivers and seeing the changes firsthand how ICDP works in their context. So today's session for me personally, it's very special because I really would like to hear how it works, how it's going in two different countries, and both the countries is very, very interesting, as we all know. And that's how we are. So, not without taking long time, I think we will start this session, and I would like to welcome all of you. So nice to see you all, and thanks to Zoom that though we are in different countries, we can be so close to each other. Just that coffee is missing, as Heidi says. And yeah. Before starting, I just wanted to say why I feel this session is special is because when I worked as a trainer, when I do sessions with facilitators, I have come across with many facilitators who, in the beginning, find ICDP very challenging. Some find it from the very first day very effective, and they're very excited. But the ones who find it very challenging has often come back to us. Their whole perspective changed once they've done the caregivers meeting because they see the effectiveness of sensitization principle and the eight themes of ICDP. And then they come back and they say, oh God, I thought this wouldn't work, but it works, you know. That kind of story we've very often come heard it, and I'm sure you all also agree with that. So yeah, so that's why to hear from our two facilitators, we are all looking forward to it. So I think we would like, I'm going alphabetically, A, B, C. So first I'll go with Azerbaijan. And so our friend Natalie Seli, I'm sorry if I pronounce your names not correctly. I've got a Nepali accent. And correct me, Natalie Steele. As she already said earlier, she's by origin a Colombian American, and she looks very young, mother of four young children, and by profession, she's an occupational therapist. She has lived abroad for several years, as she already mentioned, in Lebanon, and at the moment, she is in Azerbaijan. She was introduced to ICDP a year ago, a couple of years ago, 2024, after moving to Azerbaijan. Since then, she has seen benefits of ICDP firsthand while also recognizing the challenges they may face in implementing and expanding it in more widely. So I give this time and floor to our friend Natalie, and we're all excited to hear from you. Here you go, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Doji. Yes, I love your accent. I think it's so amazing to just see how there are in the world. And growing up in a Spanish-speaking home in America, accents were always a part of my life. So I think it's so great to see how my name will be pronounced in lots of places. So thanks for having me. Feel like I'm the newbie here. I'm like still learning all the things about ICDP. My last child was born in end of November, so I'm still sleep deprived. So if I don't make sense, just remind me. And it's also been, I feel like, a few years since I've really even worked in a clinic. So even as an occupational therapist, the stage of life is fun, but my children are 6, 4, 2, and almost 4 months old. So it is quite busy. But what I loved about what immediately I was drawn to ICDP when I heard about it, as Doji said in 2024, was how it spoke about children. And I had the privilege of learning a lot about that through my profession as an occupational therapist and as a mother. So in both of those professions, I have valued children and just the benefit that children are in our lives, and just how important children are, and how we should, as a community, love and support children and keep them safe. And yeah, so I was just immediately like, wow, this is really amazing that this program exists. I have seen that it's even exists in Colombia. So I'm just like really pleased to be a part of it. And because I is fairly new in Azerbaijan, I am not an Azerbaijani sharing on it. And I hope that in the future we can bring a local facilitator and caregiver to share their perspective. But I am privileged and feel really grateful that I get to share what I have learned from the locals and their thoughts on the ICDP. And so I will say that our first facilitators course started in the fall of 2024. And by the end of that year, we had our first facilitators course completed. And it was a really sweet group. So I just wanted to share, since it's our first group, facilitators group. It was myself, so also an American family doctor, all women, two local psychologists, which was really, really interesting to get their perspective. One of them being a child psychologist, and one was a psychiatric psychologist, one local special needs teacher, and three local mothers. And so just really diverse, a lot of perspectives. And I think by the end of it, everyone was just saying, this feels like I can't wait. I get so excited to come every time to our meeting because it just feels like we're on vacation. Like this is so safe and we're just enjoying our time together. And it was just really, really a lovely time. So yeah, it hasn't been here very long. So with that being the facilitators course, we've had three groups go through. One English speaking, one led by the two local psychologists. So that was all in Azerbaijani and some Russian. And then the three local mothers who ran their group in all Azerbaijani. So just kind of taking some of the information from all those groups, I'm going to share a little bit about that. So how does ICDP resonate in the culture here? Well, Azerbaijan, if you didn't know, is a post-Soviet country. But even with that, there's people groups that have existed here for many, many, many years before that. So it's a very rich culture with a lot of mixture of people and thoughts and beliefs, very hospitable. But through all of that, I would say, I was even hearing you, Kimberly, talk about teens and just all different types of groups, but we sort of just started with children here. So children being just, the young children being just so important. And it's very much a community-wide project, like everyone is caring for and raising children. And that includes strangers as well. So for example, if I go out and I don't put a hat on my child, someone is going to remind me that that's, important for me to, how do I care for my child better? And so it's been really sweet to see just how the community as a whole that is part of the culture. It is ingrained that the teacher, the grandmother, the uncle, the person, at the store, whoever who's seeing this child out in public, even it's part of the responsibility is to care for the child. So I think that being part of the culture, we have the great opportunity to speak into that and walk alongside caregivers and parents and teachers and all forms of just all the people that are wanting to learn more about how to look at their child with love and show them how much they matter. And so it's been, I would say, specifically, like relationships matter a lot. And so I think guidance through relationships. So like someone that is the parent, the caregiver teaching a child. And so I think that is a gift, but it's also something that ICDP, I think with time can help teach why, getting on a child's level, for example, is really quality care as well. So the sensitizing principles it was really interesting to see the locals talk about some of these. I think even, the established is really, really big because the culture here with its past, it can be, you can be very like hesitant to give trust. And so you might be giving your advice on how to care for a child, but the trust part, I think, is really a huge principle of like that takes time. And so I think even like that first meeting with caregivers is so important to spend time with them and getting to know them and letting them know your story, letting them know, why you're learning with them, why this is something that you're doing together and not this like this piece of like looking down on them in any way. So the trust and spending time together is just a really key piece that we felt like both the locals in the Azerbaijani and the Russian groups were saying is just, it was just, the icebreaker, spending time with them, getting to know their stories was really important. The other one that I think was really that we saw it as well in our group is the personal examples. So with the facilitators sharing their personal examples of our own children, of times, and there was like psychologists and there was local doctors and occupational therapists, so like in a more of a professional setting examples, that was really, really helpful for a lot of the caregivers to hear. And it felt like once we shared our piece, it was like, oh, I have examples like that too. It wasn't anything new, right? It's like you're already trying to really help caregivers see that these are things that you could be doing, while walking out the door. And I remember that is talking about with one caregiver about, I already have to get my kids dressed for school. So how can I do that alongside these principles and things that I'm learning? I can just get on their level and put their hat on, instead of saying like, here, put your hat on, putting a child's hat on and looking in their eyes and saying, okay, we're going to stay warm today. Here's your hat. And so it's already something that this parent or this caregiver is doing. So I think, yeah, giving those examples personally and letting them share was really, really great. I will say with ICDP being so new here, we haven't seen the long-term impact yet, but I'm really hopeful that with time that we will see just all the ways that this program can impact not just parents and extended family, but especially like in the education realm, because children are in childcare for many hours. So it's a very, the programs can start at 8, 9 in the morning and picking up kids at 6 p.m. or sometimes later. So they're with teachers and, teacher aides. They're in education for a long time. And so I think that it's going to be helpful for this to be something that maybe hopefully we can do in some programs at school, some daycare specifically, especially as children are so young in that time frame, that really can impact more as they are spending a lot of time with face to face with children. I will say a few of the specifically from locals is that in this culture, it's very hard to put on a program that is not held or trained by a professional. And so if that program is, you have facilitators going through this course and they're just a mom, which we know is not just a mom, but the common audience that is, looking to see about this program, they are going to think this might not be worth my time if it's something I have to pay for, because it's not being held and the program isn't being run by a professional. And so that was something specifically both the local moms and the local professionals, the psychologists, were saying is the psychologists had a much easier time gathering groups because people were like, these are psychologists. I can trust what they have to say. Let's do it. And the local moms had a much harder time as they were putting out messages and contacting their groups. Their group was much smaller. And I think that once they did get those moms in the groups, they were really excited and they went through the program. But it was really hard to get them in the door. It was really hard to get them started and there. So I think that is a big barrier because it's part of that culture. And so how do you do that with the hopes that once they're in the door, really explaining this isn't I'm teaching you, but we're learning this together. This is something that we can do alongside you, that we are also learning, and it doesn't become this like hierarchical piece, being aware of the culture. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'd love to, if you have any questions specifically, more to hear about how it's going here. My hope, I was on, just had a baby. My hope is that by the end of the year, I can run another group, but I would love to do it with more locals. The difficulty is language, because local Azerbaijanis are, a lot of people do speak Russian and Azerbaijani, and some do speak English. But then you're really only seeing, really small like percentage. You're not really reaching everybody. So how can we reach a better variety? And so if we can try to get the local women and the local professionals to do the courses, and maybe the more they do it, the more that they're going to be seen as, regardless of their profession, that they are experienced, and this is a place where they can come and learn. And, once they're in the door again, help them to see that this is truly a place of learning, versus a place where they're being taught something that they can just go alongside together and go through the course. So yeah, that's my update for Azerbaijan. But if anyone has questions, if we have time, I'd love to answer anything I can.
I have a question. Just, I'd be interested in knowing a little bit about the history. Did you begin the program, or had it been already started when you when you got involved? And is there a professional local partnership kind of in promoting and telling the community about the program? What does it look like?
Right. So on the far right of this photo, I think, is a picture up already. Not sure if if this screen is shared, or this picture is shared, but so yeah, before I came, there is a connection, and it was kind of already in the talks, and so I am sort of still I'm learning what that looks like. There isn't a program here yet, like, that's connected to like a school or anything like that. It's really just um, in this picture. Is a picture up? Can someone, Kimberly, will
Yes,
you tell me
it
if you
is.
can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yes. Okay, great. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so it's not connected so far with like a specific program. But the person, if you guys recognize Debbie in the far right, she has been the connection to ICDP Norway. And so sort of through her and some related, conversations, that's how it got started here.
Could I ask something, if that's okay? Natalie, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. How many men are getting involved? Because this is a big theme in many countries. And I've noticed you were talking about mothers in groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be interested to know, are you having a struggle to get men involved?
Yes, that's a great question. Some of the facilitators in this course, this first course I went through, we were actually really hoping to get our husbands to come to the meetings as like part of our first group, so they could come through it as to have men. It didn't end up working out because we all had a lot of children, so someone had to watch the kids. But I would say that yes, here, even though it is like that community involvement of raising the child, this part of raising children is kind of put on the women and the females in the community, in the culture. And so I would love for men to come to this. I think from what the local women that were there said, that it's going to be quite tough to get men in the door, especially local men.
Yeah, just to share with you, I've just come back from Cali in Colombia, and
Mm.
where we've run a little introductory telling people about ICDP at one of the universities in Cali. And there were a few men, not many, but they were wonderful examples. And I was saying to the whole group, you've got to look after these men. These are great examples. This can grow into something. We men, we've got to be proud of being fathers. But it's great to do that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And there are men here that I'm sure would be willing to do it. So I think it really is, even if it is training, I think what could be helpful is if you get some of like the educational pieces, like maybe people that are in charge of an educational program saying, especially if it's a man, like that kind of like, this will help your program. This will be something that you can, educate your teachers and caregivers. But yeah, I agree that it's a strength to have men do this as well.
I think often they're also interested when they have young children and they see the personal benefit for their own families as well. And that makes it attractive for other men to see that too.
Yeah, I
And,
absolutely
and
agree.
another
See
good
that.
point, another good timing is when they become grandfathers, because something happens to men the second time round. They're much softer
Yeah.
somehow.
Maybe we
Um,
should target the grandfathers then. We'll try
yeah.
that.
Just a little funny reflection on you said about it's easier for the professionals to recruit. And I noticed that a bit in Kali, that having a psychologist coming from another country really raised the status of the whole seminar. And I was saying, why? You know, that's strange. But my first group in Bergen in Norway, we had almost the opposite experience, where two of us, we were both psychologists, and people were almost a bit fearful to come to our to recruit to us. So that was a little bit of a different experience, but yeah, from country to country, these things vary.
Yeah,
And
that contextualization.
they sent all their men first, because we were two men psychologists. So just the men came to check us out and come in the first group. So it's funny how you have different experiences.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good reminder that, you know, it really has to, like, you have those, like, the skeleton of the program, and it just how much it really evolves and changes, and you have to be aware of the culture in order for it to, you know, to take off, and to being aware of it and sensitive to it. And this program allows you to do that. And I think that's what a lot of the locals were even saying, was like, this is great because it can work wherever you are. You just have to figure it out.
I think the collaborative part of having the professionals and the community, you know, opening it and having two different kinds of approaches for inviting people, and also couples can be good. So even when you can't maybe get, one of the things we did is when we had almost all women, we would have a couple of special days where the men would come, and we'd make sure we had childcare, but then the men could participate in like some special activities, but to get them involved. And I agree with you, the idea of training some of the fathers, because if one of your facilitators is a dad, there's going to be a much higher possibility that other men will come if one of the facilitators is already a dad, a mom, or a grandfather. Yes. Good luck.
Looks like we had quite an interactive session right now. Heidi, do you have any question? I saw you unmuting.
No, just I think it's interesting in this issue of professionals, and I came from Sri Lanka, where I kind of saw that this is Chico calling me, Patrick. Where we had a very interesting situation where, in terms of professionals, these weren't psychology professionals, but they were professionals within development work. And they came to us after the first day, and because they had their partners who were more local partners. And they came in the first day and they said that, we think that this is, it's going over their heads. They're not understanding. And the two trainers, we were kind of, no, we see and heard that the comments that came at the end were actually, they were really understanding what ICDP was all about. And the kind of long story short, what we understood was that it was the ones with the development aid knowledge in their heads that were the ones that used more time to get that away and put in ICDP. So at the end of the days, then we were actually there and really reflected in the way that we know we are supposed to. But it was really cool, because they thought that the others didn't understand, but actually they were the ones that did understand. So interesting, yeah.
Thank you. Everybody's come up with a very interesting questions and suggestions.
Can I comment on?
Yes, please, Atnaf.
Yeah.
And then Patrick.
Yes, when it comes to men, participating in ICDP. As Patrick said, maybe my experience from Ethiopia, I have always 50-50 in the group. The training of facilitator, also in the parents group, because when we have facilitators, main facilitators, it's easy to recruit main fathers, and we don't have any problem to have men in the group, and we are had now training, facilitator training in February and March, and I had almost 50-50 men, 50 women. And it's very important for the parents, for the parents group also when we have men. Just to
Thank you, Adnaf.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Patrick, do you have anything to say? I see your hands raised.
Yeah, I was when I saw Atnaf worked out how to do the hand up, then I realized, oh, I can do that too. Thank you, Atnaf. Natalie, what you covered quite a lot in quite a short talk just now. Thank you very much. I can't believe you're so new to this, actually. You touched on something that's so important about trust. And you talked about the facilitators when they tell their own stories and how this helps to generate trust, and that's so key to what we're doing. And one of the things I'm unsettled about is I'm going out to like African countries and doing the training and then doing the supervising online. So I'm not there anymore for that part. And what we see is that the trainee facilitators, they go on such a journey themselves, and they're telling us such powerful stories in the initial training. I'm thinking, this is very quick. We've done the training, then we leave. Who is looking after these trainee facilitators on their journey? Are they actually ready? Parents, they probably are really ready because they're things the parents are. It's just, I don't know if other people have felt that more support for facilitators as they go on their journey. How are they in their parenting? Because we ask them to use themselves, and they're coming with they're revealing quite a lot in this training when we do it with them.
Yeah, I think anyone has any answers to that. Our group, since it's so small at this point, it's pretty easy to touch base with those people, but I can see how quickly when that grows, how does that happen?
Right. One thing that we did is we had regular check-ins, and so every other Friday at 12 noon, we would say, it's the check-in. So anyone who might have been having problems or might have questions, of course, they could get in touch with us at any time. But we also wanted them to know that they didn't have to make it a big issue, that they could just stop in, kind of like, have a coffee with us. And it was virtual as well as stop in. So we had the physical plus the virtual, because we had spread out our programs statewide in Illinois. And so it was impossible for everyone to come personally. So we made it very clear that we were open all the time for any questions or issues or problems. But then every 2 weeks there was a standing meeting. And then I don't know if others did it this way, but we did a facilitator workshop that was two and a half days. And then we did a workshop 2 that was 1.5 days. And then we did a facilitator workshop 3, the certification workshop, which was 1 day. So we had people who would also come back to us through the training and feedback. And then I'm not sure, because I was trained quite a long time ago, 15 years or so ago, if that's how the training's doing, but it was really helpful to have the facilitators keep coming back to us. And we did it virtually, as well as, since COVID especially, we've done everything we do is hybrid. So it's in person as well. But we did try to have a lot of touches with the facilitators as they were going, especially their first year?
Heidi, would you like to say something? Thank you, Kimberly.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but can't you say a little bit how the normal version of the training is first, Aji? You know that just as well as I do.
No, in regards to the ongoing question, topic that we were talking about, that how we get in touch with the facilitators, as Natalie says, if it's a small, when we start in the beginning, it's always easy to be connected even after the sessions. But in Nepal now, it's been since we started in 2014, it's more than 10 years now, and it's really spread far and wide, and we have quite a number of facilitators all over Nepal. But what ICDP Nepal does is they organizes network meeting, and then that network meeting for facilitators is a kind of being connected with them, and they come up, and then in those network meetings they have these workshops and group sessions where they can put up their questions, and and ICDP Nepal or in collaboration with ICDP International and Norway, they kind of update with new topics and new things. So that kind of connection, when it is spread out in a very big group, I think that's how it works. If I understood what you all were talking about, is how to connect with the facilitators once the program is done. Yeah, would you like to say anything, add to that?
Yeah, no, I just suddenly realized it would be maybe a good idea if we go forward and then we can discuss all this when everyone is kind of on, because for Kaka, but I have a point afterwards, but I can come back to it.
Okay.
I just suddenly realized I
Yeah,
don't use
because
my
I think we
voice
should
anymore.
I think we should give this time to Kaka Choden to Bhutan, because I think she would like to finish her session also, because I know how it feels when you're waiting for your turn, Kaka, and you are in a new group today, and it's okay. We are feel at home, and so now I would like to move on. Thank you, Heidi, for reminding on that. We would like to move on with our session, and we'd like our second speaker. She's from Bhutan, and Bhutan is very close to us, and geographically, and as well as in our heart when we are in Nepal. And since we started in 2014, we always wanted to reach out to Bhutan, and ICDP Nepal have very often invited our friends from Bhutan so that we could introduce ICDP there as well since 2014. But finally, I hear that in 2023-24, I think ICDP has started in Bhutan, and I'm very happy about it. So today, Kaka Choden is here. She's going to share her experience of Bhutan, and she's a director at Utpal ECCD and also principal of Utpal Middle Secondary School and at Paro. So we're very happy to have you, Choden, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, and good evening from Bhutan. It's almost 7:42 in Bhutan in the evening, and the temperature is really cool right now. I'm sitting next to my heater. Thank you for having me here in the group. I would like to share the story of ICDP in Bhutan. It's very, very young. The ICDP introduction was done in Bhutan in the year 2024, in the fall of 2024, where 23 of us were trained by two trainers from Norway. And we attended 3 sessions of 5 days each during the year 2024 to 2025. And then I think in during the third phase, we got our certifications where we could do small caregiving groups. And I'm one of the fortunate ones because actually it was for the health personals in Bhutan. But somehow me and 4 of us from the ECCD were lucky enough to be enrolled and get the training. And since then, we were given a task to train caregivers, smaller groups. Me and my friend, Mrs. Tileongmo, we are located in Paro, where the Bhutan International Airport is located. And then we work, both of us work in the ECCD centers. She's also a ECCD center director. And then we decided to work together. And then since our certification, we were able to train 2 groups of caregivers. In the first group, we were able to train 10 of them, 4 from my center and then 6 from her center. And all those, we had only female participants, caregivers. And then in the second phase, we were able to train 8 of them. So of the 23 participants who participated in the ICDP training since the inset of ICDP in Bhutan, 2 of us were able to do 2 groups of caregiver training. And this year, we are planning to do 1, but we have not been able to yet sit together because right now in Bhutan is the beginning of the school academic session. We just started in February, so we are still busy planning out the school plans and the ECCD plans, and we are really busy. So maybe by May or so, me and my friend, we will be able to sit together and plan out the role for the 3rd caregivers meeting. And yes, a few things that as per the sharing in this meeting was, I mean, like how it impacted the Bhutanese people here. For that matter, I think the impact study has not been carried out because, as I said, it's very young. ICDP is very young. It's just 2 years. And then, of course, we had the feedback from our caregivers who are also mothers and also working in the ECCD centers and as real caregivers in the school hostel, where they look after the smaller children in the boarding schools. The feedback from them were very positive and also very, very encouraging because what they shared was like, it's similar to what we have been doing in our culture, but it was not a structured one like in the ICDP, So they were able to get a real feel of what a caregiver is supposed to be doing, So that was very encouraging. And also the caregivers were able to relate to their lived experiences. That way, it was very easy for me and my friend to conduct the meetings because otherwise it would be all the input from the facilitators. So the sharing was very easy because the first and the second group of caregivers are from ECCD and real caregivers from the school boarding school. So they know a bit of what we do in the ICDP, So the sharings were very positive and encouraging. And they had many lived experiences to be shared. And they also said like the themes are very simple to understand. The ICDP themes were very simple to understand, and then like they could relate to what they do every day in their lives, both at home and at their workplace. So that is what that's all I have to share with the impact of ICDP in Bhutan. And then in our culture, ICDP resonates very well because in Bhutan, we believe that learning starts at home, and the mothers are the real caregivers. So children from age 0 to 3, they are with the mothers, where the mothers are the real caregivers. And once they attain the age of 3, then they go to the ECCD centers where they are taken care by the ECCD facilitators. And most of these facilitators in Bhutan are rarely any male, but we may have few because in the center where my friend works, Ma'am Tille, we have a male facilitator, ECCD facilitator. But usually in most of the ECCD centers, we have females. So these facilitators are the second caregivers in the workplace. So they are also mothers somehow, or they are aunties, or they are sisters to their siblings. So that way, relating their caregiving skills at workplace and their home was very easy to be interwoven together, And in Bhutan, we believe that the first-hand caregivers should be able to instill good values, good habits, good human being values, guide and correct the children from wrongdoings, which is very much in our culture and also in ICDP. And then we also believe that caregivers should be stimulating and guiding the children to the right way. And this very much resonates with our culture, because mothers and the caregivers are the first person the children depend upon as a for guidance or support. And then their sharings on the 9 meetings was just, it was really nice, because when we did the caregiving meetings, we had the 9 meetings together over a spread of 1 week each. And they were saying whatever they did at home or whatever they were doing in their centers, the first batch and the second batch of caregivers, they were saying it's very much similar to what the ICDP caters, as well as their job in their real life. It was very much similar. So it was very easy for us to relate. And also, the meetings were very effective, because we did not have to put in so much of informations into it, because when we just, when we just facilitated, they were able to come up with their lived experiences and stories and personal experiences that made the meetings even more easier. And they were also able to relate to their everyday lives. What they learned in the meetings, they were able to go back home and implement, and then during the next meeting, they were able to share the impacts that the sharings had on them and their children. That was very positive as well. And with regard to where is that? I have notes here and there. So, yes. For the sensitization principles, I think because we had all our caregivers from the centers where they worked with children, and they are all known to me and my friend, half of them were from Madam Tinley's center and half of them were from my center. So building trust was not a problem, we were able to build trust into each other very easily. And of course, like when we met for the first time, we made the introduction session very interesting. We said, like, okay, you can say anything what you want to say in this session to introduce yourself. And then we also said, like, what are your expectations from this meeting? And then my friend and myself, we communicated in very simple languages. Here, most of the Bhutanese people speak English. And then in the centers, also we speak English. That's our second language here in Bhutan. So language was not a barrier. So we could communicate to them. And then we also made it very specific during the first meeting about our time and our expectations so that we did not have anybody miss out on the trainings. And also like position of the child, that was also, I think, one very easy and effective to be implemented in the during the caregiving sessions, because they were all parents, they were also caregivers, and they were teachers. And then, somehow when we shared about the position of the child, they were able to come up, oh yes, this is how we have to cater to our children if they make mistakes, or sometimes like if they were not able to open up, then how to open up the children to the parents or to the caregivers. So that was also, I think, wasn't a very big issue. And for us, for me and my friend, the golden moment, as we also shared in the in the report, or where we had the journals, we had 100% attendance during our sessions, both the sessions. None of our caregivers missed out on the sessions. So I thought that was very nice, because it was spreading over 18 weeks, 9 months, nine sessions, 9 sessions. So 18 sessions, sorry, 18 sessions. And during these 18 sessions, none of our caregivers missed out even a session. That was very nice, I thought, because having 10 people and then another 8 group having 100%, I thought in the beginning we were quite worried, because we were wondering, they are mothers, they are caregivers, they are all full-time employees working in centers. How would they be able to, give attendance? But we were very lucky that none of them missed out. So we did not have to, redo the sessions with them. That was one, I think, wow factor that we had. And then the participants, as some of our colleagues here shared, they had grandparents or male, but in our sessions, in both the caregiving group, we had just had only one male. So of 18 female, of the 18 people participants, we had one male and 17 female. And also, like when we were planning for the caregiving training, we try to look out for like grandparents, because some of our children come with their grandparents to the centers. And when we were trying to convince them to attend our session, and they were saying, no, I think the mothers would do a better job, or the grandmothers would do a better job than us, So that was a kind of, the answer which we didn't actually expect, because we thought the grandparents would also be spending time at home, but then they were, a little bit reluctant. They're saying, I think the females would do a better job, or something like that. So for that matter, we had only one caregiver who was working in my friend's center. And then the ICDP materials were quite helpful for us, for me and my friend, particularly because I think we are new to the program. It's just we started in 2024, and then we had to do caregiving group in 2025 and 26. So the booklets and the materials that were shared to us really helped us to, whenever we had doubts, or whenever we had issues how to go about, we could refer to the materials given to us, and then, we could do justice. Not 100% justice, but we to if we like the doubts and the some of the clarifications, we could do it using the booklets that were given to us. And of course, the picture booklet was also very, very, very helpful. And I think the picture booklets were from Nepal, I guess. Yeah, we were told so. So they were very, very handy. And some of the challenges that we faced during the caregiving sessions was timing, because we had to schedule our meetings on weekends because all the caregivers were working people. So during the day, it was not possible. And then when we did the caregiving sessions in the evening, it was very tiring, both for us and also for the caregivers, because after a very long week, we had to attend sessions of 2 hours or 3 hours. And then sometimes we stayed as late as 9 o'clock, So timing was a little bit of a challenge for us. And then we during our first and second sessions, we did not have any language barrier because all our caregivers were able to understand English. But now in the third phase, if me and my friend, if we go for caregivers like grandparents and or some mothers who are not educated, then we are skeptical how fairly we can translate the concept into our language, our local language, Dzongkha, And then time constraint was a big issue for us because my friend and myself, we live around 7 kilometers apart. So for the planning session, we had to meet once every week. And then, of course, for the conduct, we had to meet once. And then to write the report, also, we had to be together. So every week, a minimum of 3 sittings, we had to do it together. So she also had to make a lot of adjustment from her center. I also had to make a lot of adjustment from my center. So that was, quite challenging for us. But somehow we managed, and we hope that in the next session we will also be able to do that, because it's not something that, okay, we have the timing constraint, we cannot do, because we have been instructed, okay, 9 meetings every week with the interval of 1 week. So we only wish if the sessions timing was a little bit flexible so that we could adjust to our convenient timing. The strain wouldn't be very heavy, And then, okay. So I think that's it. That's it all I have for sharing right now, because I'm also very new to the concept of ICDP. We are trying our best, and from the group that we have, the 23 of us, we see regular updates of each group conducting their caregiving sessions. And then recently, in the group, we have been seeing posts. We are planning for the next caregiving session. We are not able to do. Maybe very soon we'll update, and so on, which is very encouraging as a very new starter. So thank you.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions.
Thank you, Choden, for this wonderful sharing. I know, I understand when in the beginning we are all not sure about many things, but at the same time we feel that, oh, this is doing wonderful work. Yeah. And I think after a couple of years, you will also see, you will understand ICDP and experience it in more deeper way. That's how I too learned. Thank you, Chodenla. And I also would like, if anybody has any questions or any comments on this, please do. Yes, Kimberly.
Could I just add
Heidi.
first?
Yes, Heidi.
Thank you so much. My father, he actually tripped when visiting your queen he is now 80. So he visited your queen. He tripped on going into the room where your queen was in, what time. So I have a heart for Bhutan. Yeah. Could you say just a little bit about your personal experience of what kind of ICDP has done to you? How do you feel so just to hear how you've experienced ICDP personally?
ICDP has opened my eyes a little late. I thought it was a little late. I wish ICDP had come when my children were young. Many of my participants, many of my friends, many of our caregivers share the same thing. They say, "Oh, I did not do justice to my children." You know, had ICTP program come to Bhutan and had we been taken through this program, I would have done justice to my children. But nevertheless, because we are working in the school, we are working in the centers, ECD centers, we can still touch the hearts of the children, which is not late. So I thought that was the best part of it. I personally feel I did not do justice to my three boys when they were growing up because I was too occupied with my own job, working in the school as a school principal. And when I went through the ICTP house, I missed out so many things on my children as well as on other children as well. But I feel I neglected my children. I had more focus on my job and my children at school. So we feel now we need to reach out to more caregivers so that they do not fall in my place. And then so ICDP should have come a little earlier.
Could I just follow-up question, and that is, but I assume that you also saw that you did something good. Could you mention one or two things that you did good, that you know that you did actually the ICDP already? Do you have examples of that? I think we all kind of feel, oh yeah, but I'm not that bad, Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a working mother, I think it's always a difficult task to balance your life with your family, your children, and the workplace. But yeah, I think I have tried my best to look into the needs of my children, and also cater to their needs, and then make sure that they felt safe at home, made sure that they spoke out their minds so that they grow up to be outspoken and very independent. But what I feel is, had I attended the ICTP training earlier, I would have been in a better place. I would have done wonders with my children at home as well as my workplace.
Thank you. That's something most of us have said, Kaka, not you alone. Yeah, Kimberly. Yeah.
I agree, Doji and Kaga. I agree totally about my own experience with my daughters. I wish it had been earlier, but
Yeah.
I wanted to just make a couple of comments. One, I think that you'll find that after you've gone through it all and you've put in so much time studying it and doing the strategy and the development, that it will be less time. Going forward, your next times will take less because now you'll be tweaking it, because now you have a really good structure, to work from. So the time does get less and less and less, I think you'll find, as you continue. One other thing is we did special sessions for grandparents, and we told the grandparents, this is just for you. This session is just for grandparents, and we'll be talking about the issues that are just special for you. And we had sessions where at the end, the grandparents would cry and say, no, we're not ready to be done. We want to continue. So just a little encouragement to, it sounds like you have an audience there that could really benefit. And my last was just a question. When you did the training, you said that there were 3 sessions of 5 days. Was that the training of facilitators, or did that also include training for those who were trained to become trainers?
That training was for us, the facilitators. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation too.
Thank you, Kimberly. Welcome to our new guest, the youngest one in our Zoom meeting. What's his name?
Cute.
Natalie. Nice to see him. Very cute baby. Yeah. And we're talking about ICDP. Yeah. Anybody has anything to say?
Yeah, a couple of reflections, if that's okay, Doji.
Yes, yes, Patrick.
Thanks very much, Kaka, for telling us about Bhutan. One of the little catchphrases I've been using, or we've been using in our trainings, it always is true. ICDP, it's never too late. it always has a resonance with the trainees and then with the parents, because even if your children are grown up, they're still your children, and you can still use ICDP principles. So we've had a lot of fun around that, and thank you for being so honest, also, Kaka, and you touched, I think, a nerve for all of us. We've all been guilty of not prioritizing enough or not finding enough time. I wanted to ask you, Kaka, you mentioned something about first language. I'm particularly interested in that. A lot of the material is in English or Spanish or whatever. That's great. But what are you thinking going forward, that you'll try and get some of the materials written in English into your first language? I presume the discussions already take place in, you said the name of your language, so I don't know it, but I guess the discussions take place in the first language. Can you say something about use of language?
Yes, when we did the two caregiving group, we did in English, because our caregivers were working caregivers. They could understand English very well. But now for the third caregiving, if we go for grandparents or mothers from the village, then to explain the concept of ICDP in our language might be a little bit difficult for us, because there are some concepts that need to be, conveyed very clearly. So it's just an, it's just my thinking, whether we will be able to do justice or not, but we will try.
Yes, Heidi. Thank you.
Yeah, just information, because of course Kaka is one of the facilitators, so I know that they're working on the translation so that you have the material in local languages. So they're using a lot of the material from Nepal and then adapting it into Bhutanese setting. So I don't know how far they've come, but I'm aware that they are actually working on it. Yeah. So
Thank you very much.
it'll be there for you, because just in Norway also, we have ICDPs used for refugees coming to Norway. And we very deliberately always try to have one of the facilitators in the language of the mother tongue, because the mother tongue is your heart language, So
Yes.
getting that closeness is kind of crucial for bringing out the real inner feelings and thoughts. Yeah.
I just wanted to supplement that, Heidi, exactly the same point. It's in my experience, and I've been running groups in Norway for refugees, but as I do the work out in Uganda or Tanzania, or now touching on doing some stuff in Colombia, it's so important that the parents are going to talk about parenting and their relationships in their own first language. And it might be quite a challenge for facilitators to convert the language into the first language from English or whatever, but this is an essential process, and it's very exciting. I'm watching it in Uganda at the moment. Our local people trying to say what we've said in English in Lusoko, which is the local language where we are based, and it takes a while. It slows things down, but we see it really hits the trainees, and it makes so much more sense. So we're insisting you discuss in Lusoko, and then you can give us a summing up in English. So wonderful to take those ideas forward.
Yes, I agree with that, because we had similar experience in Nepal. Doing it in English, you can just reach out to certain group, but when you have to reach out to all the caregivers, having an own language is very, very important. And in Nepal, we have multi-language thing. Now we also have to make sure that these things are also in the regional languages. And when, as Patrick said, when we do it in their own language, they express themselves more well, and they feel more comfortable, and they can relate more to it. Yeah, and I'm sure this work will be done soon in Bhutan too. Yes, Heidi, you have anything
Yeah,
to
it
add?
just strikes me that the kind of the Norwegian model for refugees is actually also interesting in that perspective. You being Nepali, So you don't use English any longer. That's kind of per se. But then you use Nepali, and then you're in a regional area. So what we're seeing here is very interesting, and Patrick has done it, as he said, practically. I've also had one Nepali group actually, where you as the one of the facilitators actually doesn't understand the language. So but you still are there as one of the co-facilitator. So that means you can we have a Norwegian, and then we have a Arabic speaking or Nepali speaking, and then the talk is in Nepali, and then a little bit translation is going both ways. But you become this, a little bit on the sideline as the majority population Norwegian, So it's a nice way of, making them feel important. So yeah, and again, your language, yeah.
Yeah. In the USA, we have the program in English and Spanish is what Kimberly has written. I just want to add a little bit on this. Can I, through my experience? Maybe this would be helpful for Bhutan and Azerbaijan. I remember our trainer, whom I really respect. Helen is still here. Helen is also here. She was our trainer. But I remember Helen mentioning once that when we translate our resources in our local languages, we translate it, and then that translation is again translated in English, retranslated. And when we do that reverse translation, we see the difference that is coming up. And I think that part we missed in the beginning in Nepal, because we were in a very much hurry to get all the resources in Nepali. Doing a reverse translation, we missed that part. But I remember Helen talking about this. And what happened in the end was translation, professional translation. At that time, we didn't have people who had done ICDP. So we used professional translators, and the terms that is used in ICDP are psychological terms, which is not normally used in a local Nepali language when you are speaking to, like sensitization and many words, which is mentalization. There's no word mentalization in Nepali till date. So what happened is in this last 14 years experience is like the translation was not understood by our Nepali facilitators. The terms were too big even in Nepali language. And so recently, by this last 1 decade, we had trainers and we had experienced, and many trainers had come up. So again, last, I think 2 years ago, and this thing was retranslated in Nepali, and now the language is much simpler. And the one who's translated was the trainers themselves. So now they know these terms. They can explain, even if we don't have the word mentalization in Nepali, they can kind of, explain that word in a very simple language that is understood. So this is our learning for our Bhutan team. And I think we missed on the reverse translation. Please work on that. And I think you will not have the problem of, having a resources that's not understandable. Yeah. Yeah, Natalie, we can hear. Would you like to add something?
Yes. So our paperwork was translated into Azerbaijani, and the person who translated actually was one of the local mothers who did the course after. So it was really helpful that she was there as we did it, that we did some edits along the way. And so I think that is helpful. I think we needed to get some edits approved maybe, but as long as, I think Magdalena said, like, as long as wasn't, it stays true to what you're trying to say. And I think that was helpful, was getting feedback in the moment from people for translation edits, like in that moment. And so I think some of that got fixed at the end.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. That's also a very good suggestion. This is how this platform is, to learn from each other. And so I think that we are reaching to our objective. Anybody would like to share anything? Natalie? Oh, your hands is still raised.
I can just
Patrick,
say
please.
Thanks very much to Natalie for that ongoing translating as you're doing it. I mean, that's a great idea, which I'll take with me to Uganda next month and throw in there and into the mix. Natalie mentioned something, and I'm sure that it would be the same for Kaka, and that was that ICDP is being implemented in settings where parents have 4, 5, 6 children, and it makes me smile, and I'm very pleased to hear this being mentioned, because we're based in Norway, where we don't usually have so many children, and coming with a lot of great ideas of what parents can do in the home, but there's 5 other children around the place. So it's great to hear suggestions, and Natalie was into something about how to use the principles in a day-to-day setting. You want your child to put a hat on, so let's put the hat on, and and I think we need lots of inspiring examples like that, because we're talking to parents who are in really busy situations. So we can learn from that.
Actually, if I could add, we also in the US, we had many families who had many children. And so whether it was 5, 10, we needed to redo some of the photographs. So the ICDP photographs that we received often just showed one child, one parent, one child. And we needed to show more photos and talk about when you have multiple children. And we had to integrate that into the scenarios that we would use and change those conversations to accommodate those parents who have one possible child that they want to focus on, and they have 7 other children. And that was something, again, that we did over time, by reviewing it, by hearing the parents, and then integrating changes over time.
Thank you, Kimberly. Yes, this is very interesting, and thank you everybody for sharing. And Heidi, do you have anything to add on to before we close the session?
No.
Yes, Kaka, she has something. Please do. Please go ahead.
Sorry if I interrupted.
No.
For Bhutan, I think the setting is a little different, because most of the now people are so much aware about family planning. We do not have many siblings in our family. Of course, we do have 4 or 5 like that, but the majority of the people have 2 to 3 like that, and then it's the people out in the village, far-flung areas where education is less, where their exposure is less. I mean, like the less fortunate people, that their need for ICTP program is more than in the rural areas. But because the facilitators like us who are trained, we are stuck. I mean, like we are bonded by our job to our confined area, and we are not able to reach out to them in the far-flung areas. I do not know how many of you have faced this similar situation, and if you have done so, how have you solved this problem? Because more than the people who dwell in the urban, I think ICTP program is very much required in the rural areas, where they have no access to internet, or to the less fortunate people group.
Shall I say something to that, Kaka? Yeah, you're true. But I also feel that whether it's the metropolitan city or the villages, I think everywhere it's needed equally. But reaching out to the remote areas, it's been easier once the country has enough trainers, so these trainers can go to and train the local facilitators. Because having facilitators in every municipality or villages, they could have a regular meeting with the caregivers, and then a different set of, so they can plan it that way. So I think my experience is, and even in Nepal, they have strategized in such a way that there will be facilitators in every villages, 2 facilitators in every villages. So that's the thing. Yeah. Thank you all. I think Helen, did anybody wanted to say something?
Oh, I wanted to
Kimberly.
just say, sometimes with the rural populations too, is it possible ever to include people by phone? maybe a computer isn't possible, but sometimes we would have people in the child welfare system, for instance, who have to go through a parenting program to keep their children. And so we would even allow them to get online on phone and participate with us in different creative ways. I don't know if that might be something that, you could pilot a little. It's not ideal, but when a facilitator knows how to engage them, it's something.
Yeah, that's one of the options, but we wouldn't get 100% out of it, I feel, as much as we would do it on face-to-face basis. But
Yeah.
yes, during COVID time, these things have also worked. And the other thing is also the challenges in the remote areas is the internet connection, and people with low economical standard, they carry phone. They don't have smartphones over here, even in Nepal, some of them. So there are these challenges, but yeah, that could be one option. But I personally, my experience, I have felt that we sensitizing on the 100% level, it doesn't go to that, but it works a little bit. Yes. Yeah. Since most of our friends have already left and it's almost 8:10, we just have 5 minutes. So I think now we would like to come. Oh, Patrick, have you raised your hand? Would you like to say something? Yeah, please do. I still have
Just
5 minutes, so yeah.
Yeah, it was just a very late comment on that, looking after the facilitators as they go through a process. And I see, is Monica still with us? Because I met Monica when I was first in Colombia, and the feeling out there was incredible. The feeling of caring amongst the people using ICDP, and I noticed this again in Cali just 2 weeks ago. How these people that are thinking of doing the training, they were so caring about each other. And that seems, I don't know if it's typical in Latin America, Central America, or whatever, but it probably is the same in other parts of the world as well. But it was very hopeful that people would look after each other. Did you notice that at all, Monica? I know you've been in Nicaragua, haven't you, as well?
Yes, I agree about what you are saying about the warmth and the caring. But I was actually also reflecting here today that it's so beautiful to listen and to listen to the experiences, and I was thinking that we are so similar. We live in different parts of the world, but we are so similar, and we are through the same processes. So, and maybe we express them in different ways. In Norway and Sweden, we are more shy or not so expressive, but yeah.
Yes.
But it helps a lot when there is when people express themselves with facilities and my experience from having doing ICDP in Sweden, I had to work a lot to make the work, the group work. The people were shy, they didn't speak much. And in Nicaragua, when I made the same, I had to try to control the group. Control. Because they talked so much and they were so expressive, and so, yeah.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you all. Now we've almost come to an end. We just have last 3 minutes, and I would love to give you all a chance to keep on going. But I think now we need to close this session. But before I close, I just wanted to share one last impact story one story, because when you were talking about the male facilitators in the beginning, I wanted to share this, and it is very funny, but very interesting, very impactful too. One of our facilitators were male, and he had partnered with a female facilitator, and the session was going on with a Terai. There's a Terai, the plains in Nepal, where they are people of more of Indian origin community, the tribal. They're very backward in many ways, lack of education, financially, many ways. And the women still, like in front of male, they cover their face with veil. So this man started the 8th session, and on the very first session, they were all women, moms, mothers, with covered their face in front of him, so he could not see the caregiver's face. So it was a big challenge for him to be there as a facilitator. But the beautiful part of ICDP is by the 3rd session, all these women had removed their veil, and the trust had been built up, and these women started sharing from the heart. And by the end of the 8th session, this our facilitator was really thrilled to see the big change. And it's not just about the relationship between child and the mother, but you can also see it's the changes that it's bringing in the community, how it's empowering our women. So with that story, I would like to end today. We have many more stories like this, and in this platform, I'm sure we will get to share it again. But thank you all for giving your time, and it was really wonderful. Thank Helen. Hi, it's always nice to see you again. Thank you, Patrick, Kimberly, Natalie, Kaka Choden, Monica, and I cannot pronounce the other name. Elsa. Elsa is also here, and
And Oba,
Ben.
it's Oba, and he's in Burkina Faso. So he
Oh,
actually speaks French, but he's using Zoom to translate. So I just checked that he is okay. But hi, Oba, nice seeing you.
hi, Avan. Nice to see you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Heidi, for everything. Let's give a big hand to all our speakers. Yes. And to our little hero, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Reggie.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, Kaka.